Across the world, there exist prisons that have gained notoriety for their harsh conditions, rampant violence, and disregard for human rights and dignity. These facilities have become synonymous with brutality, with credible reports of torture, executions, and inmates living in squalor under the oppressive rule of gangs and corrupt guards. Number 1. Gitarama Prison, Rwanda. An overcrowding nightmare, Gitarama Prison was built for only 400 inmates but has held over 7,000 at times, with some estimates of up to 50,000 in the aftermath of the 1994 Rwandan genocide. This severe overcrowding forces prisoners to stand barefoot in cramped conditions on grounds covered in feces, sewage, and human waste due to lack of proper sanitation. Virtually no medical care is provided, leading to rampant disease, rotting flesh, gangrene, and even amputations as inmates' feet decay from the squalor. Food rations are extremely limited, causing starvation, and credible reports of prisoners resorting to cannibalism by biting flesh off others or eating corpses to survive. Violence frequently breaks out, with criminal gangs operating freely as authorities lack control. Over 1,000 prisoners have died in a single year from the desperate, inhumane conditions at Gitarama. Number 2. Camp 22, North Korea. A massive gulag holding 30,000 to 50,000 prisoners at any given time. Camp 22 represents the depths of depravity in North Korea's political prison camp system of political prisons. Surrounded by electrified fences and guarded by 1,000 armed soldiers, entire families, including children, are imprisoned for simple transgressions against the regime under guilt by association rules. They are subjected to unimaginable torture, beatings, forced starvation, executions by lethal gas chambers disguised as showers, and even infanticide of babies born to prisoners. From ages as young as 5 years old, all inmates are forced into 12 to 15-hour workdays of hard labor in mines, factories, and fields, while being kept on starvation-level food rations that ensure most do not survive more than a few years. Basic human rights and dignity are non-existent, as prisoners are dehumanized and subjected to the completely unpredictable cruelty of guards at all times. Credible defector and human rights reports indicate the conditions and act of cruelty inside Camp 22 are akin to a modern-day Nazi concentration camp. Number 3. ADX Florence, USA. Located in remote Fremont County, Colorado, ADX Florence is a state-of-the-art 37-acre supermax facility, envisioned as a modern-day Alcatraz to segregate the nation's most dangerous criminals through extreme isolation and deprivation. Opened in 1994, the prison utilizes stringent security measures like remote-controlled steel doors, motion detectors, and 1,400 cameras to monitor the around 400 male inmates housed there. These prisoners, which include terrorists like Zacarias Moussaoui, the Unabomber, and Oklahoma City bombing accomplices, are confined for 23 hours per day to 7 by 12-foot reinforced concrete cells with poured beds and a slid window. For their sole hour outside, they are allowed into an indoor recreation room, but have zero contact with other inmates and extremely limited staff interactions. While designed to incapacitate those who have killed, led gangs, or otherwise posed major security threats, the harsh conditions of such extreme solitary confinement at ADX Florence have sparked ongoing ethical debates around whether it constitutes psychological torture. Number 4. Rikers Island Prison, USA. Rikers Island is one of the world's largest and most notoriously dangerous jail complexes, housing around 5,400 detainees, mostly awaiting trial. Rikers has a decades-long history of violence, abuse, corruption, and inhumane conditions. Recent reports have exposed widespread squalor like mold-infested cells, roach infestations, broken fire safety systems, and detainees locked in caged showers or soiled clothes without basic hygiene for hours. A severe staffing crisis has led to a lack of control, with rampant violence between inmates and assaults on staff. 2022 was the deadliest year in nearly a decade with 19 deaths. With human rights being routinely violated, there are plans to finally close Rikers by 2027 and replace it with smaller jails, though some argue it needs to be immediately shut down. Thank you for making it this far. Please like and subscribe to our channel. Number 5. La Santé Prison, France. One of the most notorious and historic prisons in France, La Santé has housed high-profile inmates like Jacques Mesrine and Manuel Noriega within its distinctive architecture since opening in 1867. Located in the 14th arrondissement of Paris, the radial design by architect Vaudremont features cell blocks radiating from a central rotunda, surrounded by boulevards. While recent 2014 to 2019 renovations increased cell sizes and cost 800 million euros, La Santé has long grappled with overcrowding issues, holding over 1,600 inmates despite an official 920 capacity. A special, VIP, wing provides separate facilities for well-known personalities. However, problems like drug trafficking, gang violence, and lack of rehabilitation resources have persisted at the aging facility. As the last remaining intramuros prison within Paris itself, La Santé's 150-plus-year history of confinement, including holding many of France's most notorious criminals, has contributed to its cultural infamy and depictions in media. Number 6. Bang Kwang Central Prison, Thailand. earning nicknames like the Big Tiger and Bangkok Hilton. Bang Kwang Central Prison has developed an infamous reputation as one of Thailand's toughest and most brutal facilities. Located just north of Bangkok, this maximum security men's prison houses around 6,000 inmates, including many foreigners serving long sentences or awaiting execution on death row. Prisoners have recounted horrific conditions like being forced to wear leg irons welded shut for months or years on end until the practice was ended in 2013. Death row inmates, which numbered over 500 as of 2018, were historically executed by firing squad until Thailand adopted lethal injection. The harsh environment and treatment of prisoners, especially foreigners, who wrote books exposing the deprivation after release, has made Bang Kwang synonymous with a fierce, prowling and eating mentality that earns its reputation as one of the most dreaded prisons in Southeast Asia. Number 7. Diyarbakir Prison, Turkey. A haunting symbol of the Turkish state's brutal repression of its Kurdish minority, Diyarbakir Prison gained infamy in the 1980s for the widespread torture and human rights atrocities carried out against thousands of Kurdish political prisoners within its walls. Built in 1980 in the heart of Turkish Kurdistan, the prison became a site of horrific practices like electrocution, beatings, positional torture, and forcing inmates to crawl naked on ice shards. Over 35 prisoners died from the inhumane conditions as authorities aimed to force confessions and Turkification through oppressive indoctrination tactics like being banned from speaking Kurdish. Number 8. Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Guantanamo Bay Detention Camp has become a symbol of the U.S. war on terror's human rights controversies and failures of due process. Located within the Guantanamo Naval Base in Cuba, the camp has held around 779 detainees over the years, with 30 remaining as of 2024 after 740 were transferred elsewhere and 9 died in custody. Its legal status denying Geneva Convention protections and indefinitely detaining prisoners without charge or trial has sparked global condemnation from human rights groups like Amnesty International. Widespread allegations of torture through interrogation tactics like enhanced interrogation techniques have further fueled outrage. Though presidents from Bush to Biden have vowed to close the facility, it remains open over 20 years later amid legal battles, stalled military trials, and the difficulty in transferring remaining detainees. An enduring symbol of the sacrifice principles in the name of national security, Guantanamo's legacy is one of harsh conditions, indefinite detention, and human rights violations decried globally. While prisons are intended to punish and rehabilitate criminals, the harsh realities inside these notorious facilities represent the worst failures of justice systems across the globe. Their continued operation represents a stain on the world's commitment to humane treatment and due process. While reform is desperately needed, hopeless environments should spur action to prevent any human from suffering such dehumanizing conditions ever again. Thank you. Please like and subscribe.